Welcome to the Dream 100 Show, the epicenter of influence, collaboration, and exponential growth. You're about to discover the power of relationships. Dream 100 relationships. And you're one relationship away from a totally different business and life. This is your host, Michael Tesner.
So when does trying to save money actually cost you a lot more money? In today's episode of the Dream 100 Show, I wanted to talk about when and does it ever make sense for you to do your marketing internally. And what I like to do is I like to kind of not only share things that are like live as in a day or two or often even literally the exact same day, but I like to share things with you based off of conversations that I'm having day in and day out. And when it comes to the Dream 100 framework, for example, a lot of people, they get excited. They see the potential. Like, I get it. I see it. I know that it could transform my business, but I'm going to try and do it internally. Or I'm going to try and do a few of these other things first. I'm going to try X. I'm going to bring that in-house. And as you know, I also own a marketing agency. So I have these conversations day in and day out as well. So we're doing websites and web hosting, social media, search engine optimization, paid traffic, all these different sources. And when I look at it, it all starts way back, even before we get into should you do some of these things in-house. But it gets back into this whole scarcity versus abundance mindset. And I've talked about that a decent amount of time on the show. But for some reason, with the current state of the economy, where people are kind of up in arms, they're nervous, they're throwing words around like recession once again, tariffs are kind of looming, and how's that going to continue to throw things off? And if I was an e-commerce provider and I was getting my stuff outside of the US, I would be 100% concerned around that. But when I boil things down and I look at if I'm getting into a place where I'm having a conversation with a vendor, with a partner, and I'm saying, maybe we should part ways and I'm going to try and do X, Y, Z in-house. I can tell you that the only times, there's only two times that I've ever said that. Well, two situations rather, not I've only said it twice. Situation number one is when I myself am getting into the whole scarcity mindset. And I can tell you that I'm not perfect. I've had days, weeks, I even had a year a couple years ago where I was afraid to invest any money in anything because it's not going to work. It's going to fail. I'm going to go out of business. We're doomed. It took me a lot of meditation, a lot of kind of priming my brain, just completely changing my habits in order to get out of that on the other side. But the only times are when I'm getting into that scarcity mindset, or number two, I'm not getting the results that I should be getting. Now, if marketing is driving you the results that it should be, as you know, my entire premise to business, to marketing, really to my existence is marketing above all. Every one of our listeners, regardless of what industry you're in, you are in the marketing game. We're grabbing attention and then we're trying to sell people stuff. That is the exact same for every single industry on the planet, period. So your marketing should always be paying for itself. It's simply a matter of, are the results up to par and are you giving it enough time? Most of you are impatient. Most of you don't have the runway that you can afford to invest in a strategy that might not drive you fruit for 3 to 6 months. If that's the situation then you're in, you have much bigger problems. If you don't have runway to be able to invest, let's call it $10,000 over the next 4 to 6 months, you are in a completely different battle that you need to sort out. That is a bit more in survival mindset where you're now kind of day to day, hour to hour. You've got to look at your business model and see what needs to change, because if you're in that space, it is next to impossible to not be operating in a scarcity mindset. For me, one of the easiest ways to get outside of being in that scarcity mindset is to have a little bit of runway in the bank so that I know if something does not work out, everything is going to be just fine. Because when you're attached to the outcome, you start to mess it up. And that was the conversation that I had yesterday. Now, Michael, I think we should look at doing this in-house. I don't know if it's working out. And when I started to dig deeper and talk to our salespeople, what I had realized was that we had not oversold them, but we should never have taken this particular client on because they needed this to work, or they were going to be up a creek worse than they have been in many, many years. There's a difference between being a leader and being a savior, and saving businesses is a very, very tough thing to do. There's a lot, and candidly, it's a lot more around mindset than it is around actual step-by-step tactics. Like it's a whole other animal. So the first thing is I need to quickly realize, is this a scarcity mindset way of thinking? And when you're looking at, let's say you're talking to a vendor, let's not even look at marketing for a second. Let's say you have a bookkeeper or a tax strategist. And if you're having the conversation saying, maybe I should just try and do this on my own to save the money, you need to dig deeper into that way of thinking and see what is the actual root cause. Because any vendors, any partners that you're using should be able to demonstrate what they have done for you, the impact they've made. Example, I do a lot of tax strategy. And let's say you invested $10,000 with me, I can show you easily how I had saved you $10,000 plus. I've talked a very small amount about one of my alter egos, and that's in the esports industry. So I represent the #1 Fortnite player in the world. His name is Peterbot. And I'm not going to give you numbers, but let's just say that, it's a lot of it is public record in terms of his tournament winnings, is all online. You can see that. But he was going to have a very big tax bill. And I was very easily able to save him a heck of a lot of money. It's black and white to demonstrate what you've done for someone. So when I circle back to this whole marketing concept, when a business owner tells me they're going to try and do things in-house, there are a couple of questions that I like to ask them. So the first one is, I need to dig deeper on their exact situation as of right now. Are they in a dire situation? Are they running out of cash? Give me the current situation. But when I look at it, the only instances where I have ever advised somebody to do something in-house is in one area of marketing, and that is their social media marketing. You are never going to be able to hire an agency that is going to be able to be more authentic than you are. Now, that doesn't mean that an agency isn't going to be able to come up with really creative ideas for large-scale campaigns, but in terms of someone being able to perfectly capture the essence of your brand, if you have a retail location, you're not going to have an agency that's sitting in-house. You're going to want to rely on your team, people that can take pictures and document some of the things that are kind of going on live. But other than that, you need to be looking at this concept of who, not how. Amazing book by Dan Sullivan. You're not going to be able to financially afford to hire 4 to 6 marketing people to sit in-house on your team versus investing the money with an agency. It just doesn't work. I've been in this game for 25 years. People have paid me to try and build agency teams in-house. One of the first industries I worked in that I still love, and I'm actually kind of itching to get back into, is credit unions. And credit unions, they're a very interesting breed of people and the way that they operate. And I love how a credit union operates. Member-owned versus banks, it's the counterpoints of doing good, which is credit unions, and banks on the other side, which are typically greedy. High margin profits. Member-owned, they're giving back dividends. It's a completely different ballgame. I'm not sure why people work with banks, but hey, that's just me. And I was hired many, many times by larger credit unions to try and build teams inside of their credit union. The first place that I would always go was social media, and that would always be a slam dunk. The good thing with that particular type of role is it's easier to hire. Content, taking pictures, you'd ideally look for someone that's probably younger, that's hungry, that's been grown up on social media, and you kind of get them immersed in the brand and let them roll. But when we got to all the other places, dominating Google, which is search engine optimization, website development and management, graphic design, media buying, so buying Facebook and Google and TikTok and Reddit ads, copywriting, so direct response copy, the financial numbers just became so crazy that it never made sense. It just never made sense. And if it did make sense, you were having to hire people that were not at the level of the who that you should be engaging with. If you're finding the right marketing agency partner, they should have all of these people on their staff where you're basically getting fractional team members. You're getting a kind of snippet of that expert's time every month, and they are the right who to help propel something forward. But if you were to start to analyze it, that right who probably is $100,000+ a year for you to bring them in-house. So if a credit union, let's say they were investing $10,000 a month in a marketing partner that was helping with paid traffic, search engine optimization, some social stuff, some website management, they would need to hire a website developer, a social media person, a search engine marketer, a media buyer. I mean, you would be talking at minimum, $500,000 a year of wages. So why would you then want to say, well, maybe we should bring our $10,000 a month of marketing in-house to now to be able to spend or invest rather $30,000 or $40,000 a month. If your marketing partner is driving results, you shouldn't be having that conversation. If they're driving you the results, you should want to continue to scale up with them. You should want to grow with them. Get out of this scarcity mindset to where you think you're going to do everything in-house, or that you're just going to be able to do it to save money. It's the exact same thing with chores around your house. If you're still doing your own landscaping or mowing your lawn, for example, you need to look at what are the things that you personally should be spending your time on that are going to help take your business to a completely different level. Who, not how. And in terms of you being the right who, you should be working on culture, strategy, acquisitions, managing and motivating your team, not getting in the weeds and writing social media content or doing keyword research or trying to better optimize your Google AdWords. You're not the right person for the job. But it stems back all the way to the beginning of this conversation around scarcity versus abundance mindset. Number 2, this concept of who, not how. But number 3, when I look at, again, this conversation of should you bring something in-house, the answer is almost always no. Find the right who that has been there and done that, invest with them, and let them shortcut things so that you're cutting 6 months, a year, even 5 years off some of these projects to get to where you've never been before. Stop doubting yourself, go all in, start investing resources that you haven't before if you want to get to that place of growth. It's going to be a wild ride this year, but stick with me. I will continue to be your coach, guide, mentor, trainer. I'll do whatever I can to help you win. Michael Tasner signing off. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. I'll see you next week.